We got a great show. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine, Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, Zach Brenner, and we start our first segment off with What's on Our Mind? Little Z, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, I'm going to tell you folks what's on my mind. I've lived in the city of Pittsburgh for 29 years, it's no secret. And for 29 years, every wintertime, it snows. So I have no idea why, in the 29 years that I've lived here, why people act like it's not going to snow in the wintertime. And furthermore, if you don't have a four-wheel drive, an all-wheel drive, or the proper transportation, then you should just not be on the road in certain situations. Because it's going to snow every wintertime. I guarantee it. You heard it right here, and that's what's on my mind.
Amen, Zach. I agree with you, buddy.
Hold on, I already knew that. I've been around almost twice as long as you. Did they ever stop before the tunnels and slow down around the tunnels too? Okay, this is Pittsburgh. I wanted a sports nugget from you, buddy.
Well, I'll give you a sports nugget.
Give me a little nugget here.
All right, we'll start this over again. Forget about my little...
Cut that?
Yep.
Cut that rant?
Even though it's live. Hey, I'll give you one here. The commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, wants to change the extra point in the scoring system in the NFL. And my philosophy is if it's not broke, don't fix it. And that's another thing that's on my mind in the NFL.
Yeah.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
I like if it's not broke, don't fix it either.
You know, because he's tinkering, changing too many things with the game. You know?
I can't wait to revisit that point.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Zach.
I'll give you a little.
Thanks, Zach. We'll get there.
I'll give you a little something more to revisit.
Oh, good. For all of you that are first-time viewers, I know you think we're crazy, and what are we even talking?
There's
we're trying
nothing
to talk
think
sports.
about. I am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got that. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green,
got
you got to see Levine. Just a couple of things. I had a homework assignment yesterday by Chip, so I want to let everybody know I did read it. Outstanding article, Chip. I tell
Pretty
you what.
colors.
Yeah, you know I can't read without a highlighter. But a lot of people too. They want this information, so I'll give it to them real quick. Gateway basketball team beat Penn Hills.
Who?
Gateway basketball team, 75-63.
The girls'
Friday
team,
night.
or is this the boys' team?
Did they have a parade down there?
Oh, we got to give him his time. We'll revisit this stuff.
And if you check my top 30, you won't have to look too far down that list to see some of the top scorers for Gateway. But here's something I know everybody wants to hear about is that Monessen beat Clareton 56-41. And lastly, for Big Mike D, Lincoln Park, who Big Mike D is a big fan of now that they knocked down Midland School. Lincoln Park beat Western Beaver 101-50. So they may be as good as Big Mike D said. But what's on my mind is...
What's really on your mind?
What's really on your mind?
What's really on my mind is Richard Sherman. And Richard Sherman is a guy who is a trash talker. But, you know, I find it kind of ironic. You know, if you look at some of the trash talkers over the years, they didn't get as much heat as this kid. Deion Sanders. How about Chad Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about Money Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, LT, Bill Romanowski. Remember when Cordell threw that last interception? He's like, what you thinking about was all in his face. But Deacon Jones. But I look at it this way. When a receiver catches the touchdown and spikes the ball and do a dance, that's okay. When a receiver catches the ball for a first down and spins the ball and points the other way, the defensive backs has to take it. You know, the toughest position to play in the National Football League, in my opinion, is cornerbacks. And my dad, I had some great coaches over the years. My dad was my greatest coach. Used to always tell me, hey, if you want somebody not to trash talk or dance or celebrate, stop them. That's all you have to do. And
that is brilliant.
And for all you Steeler fans, just shut up. Hey, listen, the Pittsburgh Steelers, you guys had a guy on your team named Joey Porter. You know, Joey Porter called out the Seattle tight end Jeremy
Jeremy
Stevens. Remember that?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
This same Joey Porter, this was before the game. This is the same Joey Porter that got kicked out of the Cleveland game for fighting in pregame warmups
With the
with
whole
William
team.
Green.
Yeah.
Ernie Holmes was shooting at police helicopters. Arrowhead Holmes, they used to call him. Greg Lloyd and Thomas Everett knocked out Al Toon, and then Greg Lloyd counted him out WWF style.
Yeah.
Greg Lloyd also said before the Miami Dolphin game he was going to knock Dan Marino into the middle of the next week, and he knocked him out of the game. And lastly, you got a quarterback, Big Ben, that used to fly around the city without a helmet on, driving a motorcycle. Hines Ward used to do all his illegal crackback blocks. James Harrison on the cover of a magazine with holding 2 guns. The same James Harrison that used to get fined all the time and then criticize the commissioner. And like I've always said, there is a criminal element in the National Football League, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's what's on my mind.
I wasn't sure if there was another segment.
Hopefully, the Roonies aren't watching.
All right. Smoking Jim, you know there's a disclaimer.
He went from steak to chicken.
Yeah. And we don't have to give a disclaimer. You can handle that. There's no doubt. You could call in 412-831-3304. And I'll even put Smoking Jim on the line for you.
I smoke a Jim what the number is.
Forget about it. Let's go to Chip Painter. We'll revisit that stuff and see what the number is that Smoking Jim knows.
All righty. So,
Chip, what's on your mind?
I'd like to tell you what's on my mind. Jim, newsflash for you. Richard Sherman, Roger Goodell came down with a fine for the Richard Sherman explosion after the game. Fined James Harrison $100,000. That's what I want to talk about is Roger Goodell. I mean, this guy, I've got to tell you, and I've gone on long and hard about Roger Goodell, and I think he's a buffoon, and I think he's really stuck his foot in his mouth in it today, and Zach kind of hit the nail on the head. He says that, the point after is, it's like an automatic play. It really doesn't have any impact on the game. And, so few of them are missed. So why don't we just do away with it? And then we will award people 8 points for a touchdown. And when they don't get the 2-point conversion, we take 2 points away from them. I've never heard of anything dumber in my life. I don't know how many times it's been in the history of football where the extra point has ended up being the difference in the course of a game. A fumbled snap, a blocked kick. There's been a variety of different things that happen. You don't want to mess with that. You don't. That's like, okay, here's one. Let's make a new rule in the NFL. We want to make the game more friendly. We want to make it more offensive. So the defensive players are not allowed to tackle any offensive player with the ball. Okay, so now we can watch the offensive players weave in and out of the defensive players and do their high stepping and their touchdown dances, and then you don't have to worry about players getting concussed. I'm thinking I'm onto something here, but Roger Goodell is monkeying with the NFL, and then, like Zach said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Another.
We don't even have to revisit.
I know. And another thing that I find even more laughable is this joke that's going to go on Thursday night with the clown Deion Sanders, and poor Jerry Rice is going to tarnish his image by drafting 2 fantasy Pro Bowl teams. Okay? Now, this is another thing that's a waste of network airtime. Who wants to watch a game where nobody tackles me? Oh, yeah, wait a minute. Roger Goodell does. I mean, this is another waste of network airspace. Join me in my boycott this week of anything that has to do with the Pro Bowl. There's going to be one more football game this year. It's going to be the Seahawks and the Broncos. I'm really looking forward to that game. But Roger Goodell, leave the game alone. Right now you've got teams that can't sell out their stadiums. People don't want to go to the games because they'd rather sit at home. You need to do things to keep your fan base more interested, not making it more fan-friendly. So that's what's on my mind.
I don't know what else I can talk about now. I gotta pick some other topic now.
Pittsburgh Pipers.
I actually was at their scrimmages. I could talk about that. My dad actually did referee some of their scrimmages. So let me think here. No, we'll go. We had a great time at the mall at Robinson. And we saw penguins. I got autographs, which, I normally don't get autographs. We have the gold standard here. I got James Neal to sign in gold. And the old 2-9er, I got to give a shout out to him. He talked to everybody for 5 to 10 minutes, and I hit the 10-minute mark. So it was a great time. It was a great time. I even let him talk more than me.
He was.
Right?
Not bad.
Ziza, we'll revisit that, Z. But I wanted to say that I wish the Penguins luck. 13 in a row, that's quite an accomplishment. Yes, they didn't look that great last night because we did watch some of that during our show. And it happens when you only play one game in about eight days. So those things happen. Have no fear, the Penguins will be there. That's what's on my mind. And now we're going to start. Oh,
I got a quick revisit on my revisit.
Hold it. We're going to start the revisitation. Folks, for the newbies that are out there watching our show, all 3 of you tonight.
Please don't tune away.
Yeah, don't change that dial or don't hit that remote. Sorry, I was going back.
Stay with me.
Now hit the revisitation of the revisit of his, what's on his mind. Because I have no idea where he's going. He was rereading his article because it's the first time.
That was the first time.
And this is going to be quick.
I know. You only read 3 words.
And this is the reason why I really pulled this one out, because I'm jealous. Chico Vaughn, who came out of college in 1963.
Yeah.
Went back to school to get his degree, to finish up his degree.
And it was general studies.
In 1992, close. He got his degree in recreation. Where was that when I was in school? I'm jealous. He got his bachelor's degree in recreation.
It's because of you they started recreation.
Just
saying that.
To be honest with you, if you read into that article about what Chico Vaughn did, the things that he did to help disabled children and everything, speak a lot more volumes than anything he ever did as a professional basketball player. And that's one of the things that struck me about that article. And on our opening segment last night, I kind of touched on the Pittsburgh Pipers because there was a connection there to Martin Luther King's assassination as well.
There's a lot of good things that tie in with sports and athletes, and there are some heroes out there.
And Dr. King.
Well, MLK Day. Definitely. I put up enough quotes, Smoking Jim. Did you ever check out my Facebook page or Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook? Because there's been a lot out there for over a week now. Do you know Martin Luther King's actual birthday is on the 15th?
Of January.
Yes.
Right.
I'm just telling you. All right, let's revisit. What do you want to revisit? Because I'm lost there.
I'd like to speak to something that Jim was talking about, and I think this whole thing about Richard Sherman is much ado about nothing. Here's what the deal is. Michael Crabtree, he's a trash talker, and he sits there and he runs his mouth the whole game. And Richard Sherman is equally a trash talker, and even though that's not something that that I ever did when I was an athlete, but that's the environment that professional sports is played in nowadays. So you know what? If you're going to dish it out and you're going to run your mouth the whole game, then you're going to get what you got back. And Richard Sherman, just rubbed it in his face. Hey. I don't have any problem with that because you think about it. Richard Sherman's talking about he's the best cornerback in football. Well, think about this. In the last 2 seasons, this man's had 16 interceptions. If that doesn't put him at the top of the list, what does?
How many seasons has Ike Taylor been in the league? 12?
He has stone hands.
He has 16 interceptions in like 12 years.
Well, that's okay.
That's it.
I know the guy that picked him, and we've been better for
I would have no problem with Sherman playing on my team at all.
Me neither. But if Crabtree would have made that catch, then,
Hold it.
It would have been the other way
If that
around.
throw wouldn't have been underthrown.
It was a perfect throw.
No, I think it was underthrown a little bit.
Here's what people are failing to realize.
Because I need an
Two things you never do. One, you don't go after a Pro Bowl wide receiver last play of the game. And 2, it was a perfect throw because Richard Sherman is 6'3", which he's one of the tallest corners, if not the tallest in the game. He got the wingspan of a guy 6'6". He got the vertical jump of 40 inches, and he was a track All-American in the hurdles and the triple jump. So the throw was, Crabtree thought he had it, but you can't throw against a guy that tall with that kind of length.
I still think the quarterback throwing that ball, his arm is suspect.
I would be-
Now, your theory is great because I'm with you on 6'3".
I would be curious.
But I was happy he was throwing
I
it
would
like
love
that.
to see where Smoking Jim Frazier had Sherman rated on his draft board. If I could ever get a copy
362.
of any kind of literature.
Look,
Number 1. 5th round pick. He
He's
was number one on
been in
mine.
the league 3 years. He's got 20 interceptions. His first year as a rookie, he had 4, and he's had 8 each of the last 2 seasons. And
you know, it adds up to 20.
you know,
Smoking Jim.
he you know, he you know, if you're going to talk the talk, you better be able to walk the walk. And he, you know, right now he can.
Well, the Steelers never would have took him for a couple of reasons. One, they didn't know who he was. 2, he's straight out of Compton. 3 is he was an all-world wide receiver. He was a wide receiver at Stanford until he blew out his knee. And when he took
But
a
he has a
redshirt-
degree in communication,
Yeah,
so
he-
they definitely don't want him.
Well, they did away with general studies after Jim Frazier, so that's been a ball.
Right, but we don't want somebody that has a degree in communication because you got other people speaking for
But
these
the
Well,
people.
we
first
already
thing I
got
would
one.
have done, but the first thing I'd have did if I was San Francisco's owner is I'd have fired the general manager, because how are you going to miss this guy for 5 straight rounds when all he wanted to do was play for a California team? He never wanted. Brother don't want to go to Seattle. He wanted to go to
Can I
right
ask
up
you a
there.
question, Jim? You're the NFL scout.
And San Francisco and
didn't he-
Stanford's right across the bridge from San
Wasn't
Fran.
his coach at Stanford?
know
somebody
geography
that we
now.
know?
Jim Harbaugh.
Oh my goodness! How did that happen?
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh.
I would love to.
That's why it was such sweet poetic justice when that
point.
happened.
I would love to set up a mock draft where I'll go pick for pick with Jim Frazier, and we'll see who which people get drafted and which people don't. And we can start today, because
We're not going to start today.
I haven't done
You
nothing.
you guys study up. We'll have a segment for that.
Okay.
Definitely. And to me, the Sherman issue's been too far,
It's-
too long.
You know, they beat that horse. It's dead. Move on.
And I'm just happy that it happened
It's
because
because it happened to Erin Andrews too, and she was a little, taken aback. But
You know what?
I think she handled it perfectly for the position she's in there.
I mean, that's you're going to put yourself in that environment. Sometimes you're going to get that. It comes with the job.
And it was on the field of play right after the heat of the
At
battle.
least he wasn't peeking in her hotel room.
Yep.
How do you know?
now let me ask you guys this. Has the Pro
How do
Bowl,
you know
has
that?
the Pro Bowl in football ever been a good game?
Let me tell you
Ever
what I've
in
done.
the history of it?
Chip, you have to join my boycott. For about 10 years, I have not watched a pro football game. You can ask. I watch all kind of games, and I
You don't watch
refuse
pro football games?
the
Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl game.
Oh, okay.
You know what?
I got
when
excited.
The game used to, what they used to do. They've had the Pro Bowl for X number of years. But and
It's
Alan and
terrible.
I have talked about this. But back in the '70s, and the Steelers would play a game where the defending Super Bowl champion
Yeah.
would play a group of college all stars. And that was more interesting to watch than the Pro Bowl. It's because in a Pro Bowl game, nobody wants to injure themselves going into the off season, so they can't prepare for the next year. So everybody just, I mean, it's.
Hey,
Hold
it's
it,
not-
Smoking
I got
Jim's
break-
brought
I got
that up.
breaking news. I got breaking news. Hold on. A guy from Penn Hills by the name of Donald and a guy from Still Valley named Ezel are two. They're in the Senior Bowl, and there's nobody from Gateway in the Senior Bowl. Okay, thank you. They just wanted
What's
to
in your
clarify
hat?
In the control room.
What's
that
under that
nobody
hat?
from Gateway is in the Senior Bowl. right now
You
in
know what?
college
We got to
football.
end revisitation because
We got a Penn Hills graduate and a Still Valley alum.
wow.
in the
And
Senior
then
Bowl.
Smoking Jim got the setup that he'll tell you because I've heard it so many times. There's some college teams that were better than the pro teams. And Chips is straight, man. Today, this side of the table, we're just their straight
I'll
guys.
say this-
unless you want to talk about Roger Goodell.
Well, I'll say
No,
this.
no, we're not
I'll say
talking
this
about him
the
because
Pro-
you know my feeling.
My
there.
experiences with the Pro Bowl was this. When Rod Woodson, who was one of my favorite players when he played for the Steelers, I used to be just happy when I would hear that he wasn't hurt. I was happy this week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was happy this week when Troy Polamalu pulled out of the Pro
Yeah.
Bowl.
Sure.
So I'll be happy if Brown, who's the only player on the Steelers' whole team,
Yeah.
that's even playing in the Pro Bowl. But here's the problem that I got with Roger Goodell. One, I got a problem with all these guys who got dads and uncles that hadn't beat the snot out of Roger Goodell yet. Because if Roger Goodell would have said what he said about some of those players and find them about me, think my dad and my uncles would show up to New York.
How about your brothers?
Anywho,
How about your brothers?
no, we it's age for age in
Oh,
my
really?
family.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, gray hair to gray hair.
Wait.
I'm in. I'm in the win.
Yeah. So, but here's the problem I have. How in the world are you going to allow a guy who's never put a jersey on in his life, probably never even played t-ball, baseball, how are you going to allow him to say that Big Ben could be on one team and on the other team could be LaMarr Woodley, and Woodley can sack Big Ben and hurt your franchise player? So you got players, Dion, who was hated when he played in the league.
Yeah.
Now he's picking, never played in a Pro Bowl game in his life. And them guys, superstars, didn't play.
How many
And
rings does Deion Sanders have?
he got at least 3.
Whoa.
And
I'll
you
take
got
the
Jerry Rice, and you got these guys picking. So now you have players playing against each other. You can hurt your own teammates. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. Never heard of anything like
I couldn't
that.
agree with you. I couldn't
Fantasy
agree with you.
They're doing
football.
something like that in
Yeah,
hockey
it's-
too.
You know, if you want to play fantasy football, then you know what? Play fantasy football.
Yeah.
Do it
The
on a
same
computer.
thing.
Pick your teams, and you know
I agree. Play a Madden game.
that's it.
Play a
That's what I'm
Madden
saying.
game. That'd be
Smoking
perfect.
Jim, if you gave me a chance, I was going to say, why don't we just use the video
My
games?
fault, brother.
Let the players play their own position
Yep.
on the Madden game.
I love it. That'd be fun.
Right?
And
Now,
would-
wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be?
Oh, that would be
that-
unprecedented.
What would Vegas do on the odds, though?
Or take the
gonna bet
practice
on it.
squad.
make
Take the
their money
practice
up on the
squad.
Super Bowl.
Take the practice squad to Hawaii and let them play.
There you
Be
go.
like the NBA. Have your
Well,
nickname
well,
on the back
Well,
of your
football's
jersey.
not a real
Wait,
game
one
that you
last-
should
one
play in
last
all
thing,
states.
we'll
Have your
on the
nickname
subject.
on the back of your jersey like King James, or for
He
the
hate
practice
me.
squad guy.
How about he hate me?
Scrubs,
How about
yeah.
Jesus
He
Shuttleworth?
hate
He
me and
hate me.
How about
Scrubs.
Jesus
Wait a
Shuttleworth?
minute. One more thing. We'll close out.
All right,
We'll
let-
close out our revisitation. Roger Goodell. Now you saw the first round of the playoff games. You saw when the Saints defensive backs target Percy Harvin's head, knock his mouthpiece out. Now these guys are getting fined week in and week out during the regular season. I guess hits to the head, intentional hits to the head, don't warrant any
Good
fines
point.
in the playoffs.
Good point.
When do they start taking game checks now? Because we're worried about player safety. He's a hypocrite on top of everything.
Good
else.
point. First time I heard somebody say that. It's a good point, Trip.
Well, there's no doubt. So, all right, that's the end of revisitation. That was one of our longer ones there, folks. Just on revisitation. Now the next segment is Sip Sports Bar. What a show we had at Sip Sports Bar on a nice cold night. People come in from everywhere. We had the Pittsburgh Power new quarterback, Tommy Grady. We had Aaron LeSueur, the wide receiver who caught 64 touchdown passes. And
What league?
this is AFL. Kurt
Arena-
Warner come from this.
Arena
The
football.
Pittsburgh Power now has some power.
Kurt Warner was like stocking grocery shelves.
And then what happened to him after he got there?
I think he's got a visit in Canton coming up.
Yeah, so this is a great league to
First
do
ballot?
that. Smoking Jim now has some new scouting opportunities. So I'm happy for that.
Will
They
he
were-
utilize them?
I don't know about that, Z, but you've challenged him, and he's usually up to the challenge. He prefers that. It'll keep him out of the hospital,
I just
keeps the
wanna
blood
win.
flowing. We're good. But there were two great guys. It was my pleasure to meet them. They're welcome back anytime. They're going to be around for here. They've been here a week or so they hardly even know the town.
Well, they signed 2-year contracts, so they're going to at least be around for 2 years if the
And maybe more, because
holds up.
the Power needs some power. Then we had the Pittsburgh Passion. They were fantastic. Smoking Jim sees them all the time up in God's country because they're up in Monroeville there. They put on quite a performance. We had defensive backs, wide receivers, running back. Just a great show. You can see the video up there on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. Just some great athletes. Would we have Sharon Vasquez? She's a world MVP champ.
I'm really looking forward to watching these ladies play. I want to see them.
Chip,
do
you
some
have
hit-
to see the game. I've watched it over the
Absolutely.
years.
I'm going.
They-
no question.
Smoke and Jim will tell you, and just like they will tell you, when you're watching them play, you don't realize women are playing after a while.
You know what?
That's how good they are. Zach, I know you're a doubter.
I love
At
football.
279 pounds, he just lost a pound. You have to see them play. But it was just great to have them at Pittsburgh Sports Line at Sips Sports Bar. Now, Sunday night, they have trivia night, and they're going to start a seafood special on Sundays.
Catfish?
I heard the catfish, the river's frozen, my friend.
No.
You're going to have to get your friends to
Jim gets
cut a
his
hole
seafood
there,
from
buddy.
Long John
Yeah,
Silver's.
Jim, it's going to be a seafood buffet. You see food, you eat it.
So I'm not allowed to say when it's starting or what it is, but Smoking Jim and I heard a couple of secrets on what it'll be, and
Can't wait.
we'll be there. I won't have to cook. The price is right. Monday night is Pittsburgh Sports Line night. Come on up there. They didn't have the best meatball hoagie in 2 weeks, but they did have another sandwich that was pretty good too. So we enjoyed that.
The Reuben?
Campides is tonight, 50-cent Campides. Hello to the Campides watching the show. You might have missed it by now since they usually watch the opening. 50 cents a slice. Wednesday night is Smoking Jim's Ladies Night with drink specials, happy hour specials. Thursday night, Smoking Jim and I and whoever his best friend is, she comes along and the wings were flying, I'm telling you. Great wings. Friday night karaoke, entertainment Saturday night, parking on the street. Come up to Sip Sports Bar, and come next Monday, we're going to have an extravaganza with boxers.
Can't wait.
Come on out there, and we'll talk about that later. That's it for my Sip Sports Bar segment. And we're going to start with the next one. It's Smoking Jim Frazier's Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim Frazier's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine. And I tell you what, this is going back a little bit of ways. Going back to a playoff game in Baldwin at Baldwin High School. Baldwin wasn't in it. They was just the WPIL host school.
They couldn't get Don Unesson to be the winner up there. And that's my alma mater, everybody, so I'm allowed to talk trash on him.
And the
These are
game-
his own opinions. If you want to call 412-831-3304. Smoking Jim, get to this fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
And the game was at beautiful Baldwin High School stadium where undefeated Mount Lebanon, featuring star fullback linebacker Kurt Angle, was playing against the #1 football player in America that year, number 85 for Gateway, the late great Curtis Bray. And with Gateway winning by a small score, 14-0 right before halftime, it was the catch. Quarterback Terry Smith rolls out to his
dropping
right.
names like this.
He's being chased, and he's getting ready to get sacked. Curtis Bray is being double-teamed by Kurt Angle in the safety. Terry Smith throws the ball away, but didn't tell Curtis. And all you seen was Curtis going up like Michael Jordan or David Thompson.
David
he just
Thompson.
kept going. He kept going. Kurt Angle jumped. The white safety jumped. Curtis kept going. They kept coming back down to earth. Curtis kept going. Next thing you know, it was almost like the Dwight Clark catch. It was
Wow.
the greatest catch of high school history. He catches the ball. Gateway goes in at halftime, 21-0. And after that, I think Kurt Angle decided right after that game, it was his last football game, to be a wrestler full time. And that's my fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Smoking Jim, and may Curtis Bray rest in peace.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with his untimely death. there,
Condolences
so.
to his family. I know he left a wife and 2 young children.
And his memorial service and funeral is Thursday and Friday in Monroeville.
yeah.
There you go.
Prayers to him and his family.
All right, Chip, let's go to my favorite time. Chip's trivia time. I've been waiting for some trivia time.
Okay, I'd like to stick with the theme of football because we're coming down to the end of the football season, and I've spoken about this this running back once before. He's one of my favorite of all times. He was before your time, Zach. Who was the youngest player ever inducted in the NFL Hall of Fame?
It was Gail Sayers.
Gail Sayers, absolutely correct, Jim. Jim may know the answers to most of these, and I'm going to test him on this, but I'll help him out if he needs it.
Thank you.
What former Big Ten running back is the current Division 1A rushing leader?
Former Big Ten?
Big Ten running back.
Oh, the fat boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ron Dane.
Ron Dane.
Ron Dane of the Wisconsin Badgers.
Is that nice?
Now,
talk?
we witnessed the end of the BCS this year, and the final BCS champion was the Florida State Seminoles, who was the first university to win the BCS title. And I will give you a hint. The Steelers drafted the quarterback that won the championship for them, and this championship did something that Peyton Manning couldn't do in 4 years.
T. Martin, Tennessee.
There you go. Very good, Jim.
Won a national title.
Yeah,
That was your draft pick.
T. Martin, the year after Peyton Manning.
I
went
thought
to the
T would be
NFL.
good.
He got
Took
me on
Tennessee
that.
to the national
First
championship.
one this year.
This one I'm sure my friend Jim knows. Kansas City Chief player, set the career 7 sacks in a game, set a record in the
Derek
NFL.
Thomas.
Derek Thomas.
Derek
Rest
Thomas.
in peace, my friend.
Okay, in 1964, this is way before your time, Zach. This Baltimore Colts running back was the first player to score 20 touchdowns in a season. Lenny Moore.
Lenny Moore from Penn State.
There you
Lenny
go.
Moore. Wow.
This one, I hope you get this one right. The Atlanta Falcons used the 19th pick in the 1992 draft to select a running back named Tony Smith from Southern Mississippi.
What a bust.
They acquired this pick by trading what player?
Brett Favre.
There you go.
I wasn't
From
gonna
Southern
say that.
Mississippi
That's his man.
University. See that? And who was the only head coach in the history to win both the Super Bowl and the Rose Bowl? Let me put it to you this way. He liked to cry a lot.
No.
Dick Vermeil.
Dick Vermeil.
Dick Vermeil.
Wow, that's right. UCLA.
UCLA, and he won the Super Bowl with the St. Louis Rams.
Wow, so Pete Carroll will be the second, huh?
He could be. He could be.
We'll talk NFL a little bit later.
Two
there,
more
puppies.
quickies for you, and I'll be out of here with my trivia. There's an NFL legend and a Hall of Famer who was an outfielder for the 1919 New York Yankees. Anybody got an idea who that is? Well, he was referred to affectionately as Papa Bear. George Hallis, the owner of the Chicago Bears.
Real? Oh, I never would have got that. That's great, man. I didn't know that.
My very last one. What current NFL franchise was originally slated to be a founding member of the AFL in 1960, but forfeited that franchise and waited 1 year to become an NFL expansion team?
Dallas Cowboys.
The Minnesota Vikings.
Really?
Wow.
The purple people.
So that's Chip's Trivia time. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Look forward to next week. I'll have some more nuggets.
You dug pretty deep on that stuff. Wow.
It just keeps getting better.
I like the 1919 with Hallis there.
That was great. He put some research into that stuff, man.
Yeah, he did.
that stuff
You know
just
what?
don't fly
Google's
through the air.
wonderful,
I'm
Bang.
telling you what, the information is out there. You just gotta.
That information
You
highway.
gotta
I'm
make,
working. I wish I
make
had
the
the time.
segment worth listening to.
I
Wow.
like to start crack opening my encyclopedias and
You
going
did.
after it.
You got your mega encyclopedia right here. It's just not electronic.
Eric,
And there was a rumor
I'll open up
that
my.
Smoking Jim Frazier was trying to go back in the time machine with Doc with the Sports Almanac with Marty McFly so he can play some bets.
They didn't get the car. But if you know at the Rev 'em Up for kids, I sat in a DeLorean. Did you remember? You
Yeah, I
didn't remember that.
Oh,
I was sitting in
that
one.
was
And
sweet.
definitely. I didn't go back in time, though. That was the problem. I just stayed right there. And it's hard to get out of the car. That's another story.
They were following me around those cars.
I don't know why. Hey, I was going to go. I have a segment, but I'm going to move the NFL playoffs up. Because when you pick favorites like I did, and you get all this flack about two favorites, Denver and Seattle, because the Steelers were out of it. I picked Denver and Seattle. It was a no-brainer to me on that one.
When did you do that?
Check the video. Control room, can you bring some of that
Pretty
up?
much every week of the season he did. So,
Yeah.
I got Alan's back on this one.
Yeah,
Got to tip my hat to him.
When do you call that chalk?
Yeah, but so what? Sometimes they do. This is only the third time in 21 years.
Well, let's
But
see
I'll tell you
do
what the
March
thing
Madness.
that's most
That-
exciting about
we're
the
not,
Super Bowl.
Hold it. We're talking football. You can't mix metaphors and apples and oranges.
You know,
All right,
the thing
youngster.
about this Super Bowl that I find really intriguing is you got the number one offense going up against the number one defense. And I think one of the things that might tilt the scales a little bit in the favor of the Seattle Seahawks, which I'm on record as agreeing with Jim, I feel that the Seahawks will win the championship
money.
this year.
Heavy money.
But I
We'll
think
talk
the thing
about that in a
tilts
second.
the tables and makes this a little bit more of a favor to the Seahawks is the fact that they're going to be playing it in New York. They're going to be playing it outside where football should be played.
see
I
what
think
the
playing
conditions
games
are
in a
there?
controlled environment, in domes, I think it's a mockery. Football was meant to be played outside, and it should be. And I'm really looking forward to this championship for that reason.
Well, that even makes me feel better because when you have stem cell therapy in Europe, you couldn't play outside before, and now you go to a team where you're outside. I'm all in. I posted on Pittsburgh Sportsline Facebook, maybe before Zach, maybe not. I don't know. He was shoveling so much snow today. He doesn't know if I put the New Jersey Stadium photo out before him or not.
No pads, folks. No
But it
pads.
looked, and he's not thinking straight tonight. He needs to eat. And watch yourself, Smoking Jim. Your candy's going to be gone. But
Believe me, he's doing a good enough job on his own.
I know. Hey, I'm staying with Denver. Denver will win this. You can hear it again, Zach. I don't know. I'm very repetitious. I think I told you a few times in that 6-hour marathon.
I can even tell you who's going to be MVP of the game.
Okay.
Well, let's hear it right now because I can't wait.
Let's hear this.
MVP of the game could possibly be, don't show no mercy, Percy Harvin.
He will be. He will
And a
be
full
ready to
body
be able to
cast
play.
on the sideline.
Oh, you mean the same man that got concussed and the culprit didn't get fined?
Didn't get fined, yeah, that one.
Nice.
They really don't want to stop those
Listen,
concussions.
I've
They want the heavy
I
hits.
wasn't around for the 70s, but I've heard stories about like things in arm wraps and clotheslines, and it was a way more.
Here, just what you should
it
have
was a
seen is the
nasty
head
game.
slap. Did you ever see
Wow.
what the Steeler linemen would do? And all the guys in the league. Some of them would hit people in the head so hard. They were concussed before they took a step out of their stance.
Deacon Jones had a 1-2
Thank
head
you.
slap
Yeah.
that would make an offensive lineman drop his arms and stand there.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
He
ran
paralyzed
He
them.
could
Yeah,
be
I
perfect.
mean,
White.
You know,
He
they
did the
changed the
same.
rules. You know, they used to, put they used to put plaster casts on their forearms. You know, who was it? Big Ben Davidson from
Yeah,
the Oakland
Oakland
Raiders.
Raiders.
He used to
I
close.
thought that was in the
people.
longest yard.
No, where do you think they got that from?
I know. Chip, that's a little sarcasm.
But,
Definitely.
they-
They did a lot of that
But
stuff.
they didn't
Davis
even
is
have to
good.
do any of those kind of things. How about Turkey Jones dumping Bradshaw? Picked Bradshaw up over his head and then power drived him on his neck. I don't know how he wasn't paralyzed.
Oh,
He was for a while. Then he jumped back and he was healed
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
He did that all the time.
Came out. Bradshaw, they take him off in the stretcher. Bradshaw come back 2 plays later, throw a touchdown.
He throws 70-yard bombs.
Hey, here's my best Bradshaw story. This is
Say that
deep.
fast again.
This is deep real quick.
No, I'm kidding.
Terry
you.
Bradshaw's last year. I mean, Terry Bradshaw, if he
When
would've
his
played
arm was
another
shot.
he was so good when he got hurt that, I mean, he could have broke all kind of records. They relaxed the rules. He was, I mean, and he had a great
That's why I
arm.
didn't want to quit.
But when his arm was shot, Bradshaw really couldn't play. And so they would put Stout in the game,
Cliff Stout.
Cliff Stout or Mark Malone or one of those, and they were so bad. And then Bradshaw, what he would do, he would go behind the bench and start warming up. All you hear is the crowd going crazy because they think they're putting Bradshaw in. He was so ignorant. Then when they go put Stout back in, they boo.
Hey, now that you're talking about the Von Bomber, 35 years ago today, Bradshaw threw 4 touchdown passes against the Dallas Cowboys to win Super Bowl 13, 35-31. And if that's
Why
also
do you
the
don't
game
remember?
that loudmouth Hollywood Henderson had said before the game
Couldn't
that Terry
spell.
Bradshaw couldn't spell cat if you spotted him the C and the A.
Wow.
And if you missed it on
35
Pittsburgh
years ago
Sportsline
today.
on Facebook, you'd know that Terry Bradshaw was the first quarterback to ever win back-to-back MVPs. Now, think
First
about it.
player
For all
to win.
these naysayers that talk about maybe he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame just because he won
Somebody
4.
said that?
People say that.
Well, you know, the people that, you know, and to speak to Alan's point, and you know, because here's what the thing is, you know, the game that was played in the 60s was different than the game that was played in the 70s, different than the game that was played in the 80s. You know, one of the people that advocated the rules that gave more freedom to wide receivers was Mel Blount. Mel Blount, what he used to do to wide receivers at the snap of the ball, you got thrown in jail for if you did that on the street.
That's true.
You know, so they changed the rules because Mel Blount would just, you know, completely take.
Wasn't he 6'3" or something like that?
Mel Blount,
6'4".
6'4",
yeah,
6'5".
and I'll tell you what, Mel Blount still to this day looks like he could strap him on and go out there and play.
Yeah, he
Boots
does.
on a cowboy hat.
Without the cowboy hat.
But and like Chip said too, back in the day, the safeties. I mean, you had quarterbacks dropping back, little Z, about to throw the football to say the rookie of the year over here, John.
Is he still here?
And the safety would knock them on their butt.
There he is.
Some of your you could hit guys and knock them out long as the ball wasn't in the air. So you didn't go over the middle of those days. There was sometimes you didn't have nobody to throw to. They were all
Right,
knocked
because
down.
they made the rule where you could only chuck them within 5 yards of it.
And it was a good
Because
5
of what
yards.
people like
Yeah.
Jack Tatum and
Yeah.
Mel Blount and George
Donnie
Atkinson
Shell.
used to do.
I
wide
used to watch
receivers.
Mel Blount and say he had to be the most bored guy ever because nobody threw. I mean, because Mel Blount would just pick you up and throw you out of bounds. Once you go out of bounds, you can't come back
Get
in and
the
catch the
field
ball.
play. No.
Oh,
We got a caller.
we got a call.
Hello, caller. State your name and what's on your mind.
Well, hello, gentlemen. It's Erin.
Hey, how are you doing, Aaron?
Did you get out of the snowdrift?
Actually, I'm still at work.
Ah,
That's why I couldn't come in tonight. But I just wanted to call and say hi and tell you I was thinking of you while I was working on stuff for Schenectady in New York.
Well, I'll see you later on tonight, Aaron.
Okie dokie.
hey, we appreciate your call. Just so you're safe, I was worried about you because I don't know how we're putting on a show tonight here. It's just unbelievable, but I'm glad you called in. I was saying the number about 3 times, which is rare anymore, and you called in. That was just magical for this new year.
Yay!
I don't know much about the NFL other than the Steelers or Terry Bradshaw, so I can't contribute to your conversation.
Hold it. Time out, Aaron. We just were talking about the NFL and Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Go figure.
How could you watch this show? It's not. Where are you at? You don't even have Verizon 32 where you're at.
No, I do not. I do not have a television at all where I'm at, locked in a conference room in Oakland.
Well, hey,
Oh, Aaron, it's always great to hear
Hey,
from you.
I could
Thanks for
sense what
calling.
you guys were talking about.
well, we respect that ESP of women there, so you be safe. And I'm glad you called in and you mentioned NFL and Bradshaw. That's
That
just
was
awesome.
on time. That was on time.
You're the best caller of the new year.
Why, thank you.
You take care, Aaron. Be safe on
All
your
right,
way
boys.
home.
Have
See
a
you
good
Monday,
show.
Aaron.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What's the chances? We was just talking NFL and Bradshaw. That's why people think the show's scripted.
You know what? I got to get rid of that.
Hey, I'll tell you what, folks.
Why?
When I happened to glance over at Smoking Jim because he was covering his notes over there, I might hire him as a writer because he had line for line, like what he even had like written out well, like pause. The catch! Like he had it so perfect, man. He had the script. He's perfect.
And that's what we call a little fiction from Zach Brenner on Z Time.
But he
here.
tried to shield me, folks. He tried to shield me with a wildfire.
Oh, they put his free calendar back. I mean, put his calendar back.
This is a free calendar?
No, it's a calendar. Don't worry about it. Just put that back.
I'm gonna give this to Gabby as her gift. It's gonna be. I'm
Whoa.
giving this
She
to
might be
Gabby.
your best
My
friend might be
friend.
watching the
It's
show.
gonna be her gift.
All right, enough of the NFL, except for predictions. Can you guys make a prediction?
Jim and I have got the Seahawks.
Okay. Z, you studying?
Is in a blowout.
In a blowout.
Hold it. Wait a second. I got to hear a story since you're talking about it. You're a known gambler.
Oh yeah, heavy money.
Now, I'm looking at Bet the House, Lead Cinch Pipe, and I talked about it briefly last night. This heavy money thing, are you into gold now or some silver? because I don't know what you're doing, but this heavy money, that must be like what I call some serious money, like 5 or 10 dimes or, some quarters.
Hey, look here. If Peyton Manning scores
Hold it.
14 points in
Okay.
this game, that'll retire his jersey. That's how confident I am.
14 points.
Hey, come.
They're only giving up 14 points all year on average, so he could get 17. I'll take that over. I'll take over 14.
I tell you what, this is what you can take. You'll have no problem seeing Peyton Manning's Adam's apple come that Super Bowl Sunday.
How many times are they going to show Eli?
Throwing the interception. Is he allowed in his own stadium?
Let them laugh now. They got to have that first laugh. I'll take the last one.
I'm going with the volunteer. I'm going with Peyton Manning and the Broncos. I always stay with
So
the
we're
AFC.
split equally here. The bookends got the Broncos.
Yeah, Z. I knew I could break them down.
Me and Chip got the black quarterback. Be the first black quarterback since Doug Williams to win a Super Bowl.
Russell Wilson's
But
black.
can a quarterback that's 5'6"?
Folks, I love it. I love it. That most people go unclaimed in this world until they make it to superstardom. As soon as they make it to superstardom, now everybody, the first black quarterback. He was playing baseball.
Now, how come as a baseball player he's like listed as 5'6" or even 5'7"?
Who's that?
Russell Wilson.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm
He's
going
not
with
that tall.
I'm going with the only quarterback in the Super Bowl that was drafted by a Major League Baseball
There
team.
you go. There you go. And my number 1 rated quarterback coming out that year. And one more victory. He's tied.
Okay.
Who's
For
your
Big Ben for the most victories for a second-year quarterback. He wins one more. He breaks Ben's record.
It's not going to happen.
Smoking Jim Frazier didn't even have Russell Wilson rated on his 7th-round draft board.
Had him number 1. My
So
number 1
far,
rated quarterback.
Zach, so
Sherman
far on
number
the show.
1. He had Russell Wilson number 1.
No, we talked about Russell Wilson when they draft last year. That was a little
You
He was
missed.
shoveling snow.
Hey,
He was shoveling something.
Everybody
I
gotta
think it was
start
no.
somewhere.
That was back when
Hold
you were
it.
saying, "Who's smoking Jim?"
No, he put that, who the F is smoking Jim? And then I said, you better come to our show. He goes, what
True
kind of
story.
show do you guys do? Is it a radio show?
hey,
I go,
I'm
it's
not the only
TV.
person
I
that
just
goes
see the
radio.
picture. He was photobombing that day too. I see the picture, Zach. I said, "Oh man, he was photobombing that day."
And that's what started the Legend of Z time.
Small
Welcome
world.
aboard. We're glad you're here. I
I'm
wanted
glad
to
to
touch
be
on
here.
some Penguins since their streak has ended.
Wow.
And we talk a little bit about the Penguins there. And they've had some defensive lapse each
You know
game.
what I mean? Yeah, they,
But they've been overcoming it. But
they,
this night they didn't.
They ended one streak. They start another. But I think the good news to hear out of Penguins camp today, Thomas Falcone made it to practice,
Who?
and he's been.
Thomas.
Excuse me. No, but he's off the blood thinners. He's able to come out and start practicing with the team.
That's good.
It's maybe another week or so before he can start taking shots. So
There's only-
hopefully the backup will be back. And
There's only one problem with that, though. That's the backup goaltender. We already have a decent backup goaltender. We need goals. So unless Thomas Falcone plans on playing forward and scoring goals, I mean, I could care less about the third-string goaltender.
But here's
We
the
need
thing is with the
offense.
Penguins, and as well as they've been doing this year, you listen to what the National Hockey Writers say, and they pick the Penguins right now as the 6th rated team in the NHL. There's a lot of teams that they're picking ahead of them, and the odds-on favorite to win the Cup right now are the Chicago Blackhawks, the defending champs, and most of the teams that they're picking ahead of the Penguins are in the Western Division. And still, even you look at what our record and Boston's record is, people still think Boston's a stronger team coming out of the East than the Penguins are. So,
But I think people underestimated Pascal Dupuis because it's hard to find people to play with the number 1 player in the world, Sidney Crosby. And right now they're searching and they're trying to find somebody to fill in, and it's not an easy thing. So look for Ray Shero to probably go out there and make a trade. Smoking Jim Frazier, that's hockey.
well, and then also,
Good Yager.
you'd be surprised at the
Still
impact
scoring.
that the loss of Bo Bennett has had, and he's still probably a month out from being able to play because they were looking to put Bennett on at first Malkin's line, and I wouldn't be too surprised when he comes back if they put him on Crosby's wing with Dupuis gone, with Kunitz
Well,
on
we
the
do
other
have
side.
the Olympics coming up, so that'll give us a little break there, too.
There's
for
a
people.
3-week break in February from the I believe from February 7th until the 27th, where none of the NHL players will play. But you know, and I'm glad you kind of brought that up because you know we've got the Winter Olympics coming up, and I'll tell you what, I've got very grave concerns for the safety of the athletes that are going to be going to the Winter Olympics. I'd be very leery about going because you know right now the unrest that's going on in Russia, the Russian president can't even protect his own people. And here the terrorists are claiming that they're going to, you know, make a statement with some type of an attack on the
You guys
Olympic
laughed
Games.
and were mocking me when I said I'd rather have no Penguins go.
Now, I'd be right now,
I'm a history
I wouldn't
guy.
be comfortable doing that because I don't think that they can guarantee the athlete's safety.
Well, let me ask you this, Chip and Al.
I don't know if I'm going to answer you.
Because you guys are experts.
I don't think I'm
I
going
don't
to
know
answer.
if I'm
You guys are experts on terrorists. I'd be a little worried about the Super Bowl. New York's already overcrowded. You put another quarter
it's
of a
shut
million
down,
people.
buddy.
Huh?
They ship a lot of the people that are crazies and stuff out of there. They're racial
Well, you know
profiling and more. You don't have to worry. They've already set
basically
that
what you're saying
process.
is Smoking Jim
Yeah, you
Fraser.
make an excellent point because you know, the thing is,
There's
with
no
these terrorists,
problem.
what they want to do is they want to do something where they're going to have the worldwide audience. And the two biggest things that, you know, with worldwide audience is A, the Super Bowl, and B, the Olympics. And I think, you know, one of those two
Historically,
places.
though, they always pick the soft target. Terrorists always go for the
And you guys are forgetting that
9/11.
this cold weather, everybody's gonna be wearing an overcoat. So they got all the technology. They're looking right through you.
Them
So you're not
communists got
coming
it
in
on
with
lock.
anything.
You know what?
New
they-
York is safe.
You know, I
Definitely.
wouldn't, Alan, no place on earth is safe.
They're not going after. I'll bet on this one. There's no
We're
way
pretty
they're
safe
going
in
to the
this
Super
booth
Bowl.
right now, Chip.
The Olympics, they already have a history of doing that, and you can't secure it when Russia is really not our ally. I don't know if you guys read
think of-
history, but they're
I
really
don't.
not our friends.
Yeah, but
Okay.
you know
We
what?
touched base on this with the USSR.
Yeah.
And all the,
Yes, we did.
Think about, you know, they never thought it could happen in that 1972 in Munich.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up
Good point.
with the Olympics. But
Yeah,
Super
but they
Bowl will
had
be
a-
fine.
As soon as Hitler ascended, they had a Olympics in Germany, and there wasn't any issues.
Well, because
and I think an African
that was a little
American track
different.
star dominated from the United States.
Yeah, but that was
I
different.
can't remember his name. It was
Here
way
was the
before my
different,
time.
Zach, a little bit of history. You're sort of putting in what's happening today back then. Back then, they wanted to show that they were the supreme race. So they welcomed anybody like Jesse Owens or whatever to
That's
pummel
his
them.
name.
Just like in boxing with Joe Louis.
Jesse Owens didn't get pummeled though.
Well, that's my point. A great athlete's a great athlete. He'll beat you.
And at that time, you know, and I am a student of history, the Nazis did not have the power in 1936 that they were able to wield in 1939 when they started invading all the other countries. They were working on stockpiling themselves, turning them into a power that could do that. So they had to sit tight and play their hand, play a good boy, and lull everybody else to sleep so that they could, you know, surprise the world, and look what they've done.
Wow. And that was part of it, but they did want to show that they were the superior race, and they believed it, they practiced it, and that was part of it. They never thought that a Jesse Owens could win and win.
Boy, did my
convincingly like him.
grandfather enjoy taking Berlin. So, shout out to you, Pat.
How did we segue into that? Well, we got some boxing left on the card. I knew we'd be a little talkative tonight. We tried to promote a little bit last night. Sammy Vasquez is going to be on our show.
Can't wait.
Smoking Jim is all about the boxing and all this stuff. You've seen these guys before, the Who Can team from Mexican or American. They'll both be there. And we'll see that. And then Little Z's brought a whole contingent of boxers that are coming out to the show,
Weather permitting.
weather permitting. I got
This
to
is
pull the
big.
second team up now.
Zach, didn't they get the memo about snow in the winter in Pittsburgh?
No, nobody gets that memo because every time it happens, you know, we're crippled in this city. Like,
How about when it rains? I have a question for you. When it rains, why do people slow down?
Folks, that's just one of those, you know, that's a rhetorical question. There you go.
yes.
That's my 50-cent word for
That's
the
the-
night.
Thanks.
That's the-
You threw out a couple things tonight.
And on Monday, we might have a ring card girl come Monday.
Are you serious?
Huh?
Where did this come out of the woodwork?
Fits right in with the boxing.
Oh,
thing.
okay. I knew you'd be the man on the inside.
Somehow I seem to think that Jim looks at found another photo opportunity.
Never misses one of those, folks. Never.
Hey, well, I do want to shout out to the people getting us a lot of likes. And Pittsburgh Sports Pride and Jim Kaiser, they've sent us a lot of likes from the West Coast and all over the country. We're going to have a guy that got us 100 likes in one night. Jeffrey Snedden with Pittsburgh Sporting News. He's going to be on our show on Monday.
Wow.
And we're going to talk a lot of sports. You name a sport, he can just about talk about it. He's written about it. Smoking Jim, he already wrote one book. He's from Aliquippa. He wrote a book about Beaver Falls.
Really?
And he's working on another one. I talked to him when he was in the, listen to this, library, doing research.
Really? Who wants that book?
And he's a well, there's a lot of people that want it, buddy.
Library, isn't that down the road from here? Library, Peter?
Yeah, it's about 3 miles down the road.
I got a question.
Yes,
Smoking
sir.
Jim has
What's
never been
going
in a
on?
library.
What's going on Thursday?
Well, we're supposed to do this Jessica Lee mini show, but it might be canceled because of the weather.
I didn't know
I'm
that.
still supposed to get a phone call
What
on
weather?
it, so
Today?
well, no, it's supposed to go to like -1 tonight, and it's going to be about 6 or 12 on Thursday. So it might get canceled. Stay tuned.
Wow.
But if not, we'll be at Little E's on Thursday night at 6 o'clock.
Wow, I'd have been
So
the only one there.
No, I'd have been there with you.
That's no good, folks. I'll stand outside with a microphone and a camera, and we'll do a show out in front of Little E's on Thursday.
I don't know. We need
Little
some-
Z at Little E's. Outside, but I'll do it all outside, too.
Okay, well, it's too crazy, but we'll see what happens.
No,
Stay
Zee will
tuned.
walk up
You'll
and
see it
down
on
Liberty
Facebook if it's going on there. Stay tuned.
That'll be a hit.
You guys, if not, I'll give you the announcement. We're going to be doing a show on the fourth Thursday at Little E's starting in February. Then it'll be the fourth Thursday each
Black
week.
History Month.
Well, I don't know. Is it that? Are you sure
Look
you're
at Jim's
claiming
gonna be
that?
spending a lot of time at the August Wilson Center.
I want to know if anybody kept track of how many times he said black. Because he should go play roulette. Because you got a 50-50
Hey, we had a
chance.
white-
Only bet on a
What?
a sure thing, and that's Seattle.
We had a white
Oh, the heavy
safety
money.
and Kurt Angle.
We got the rookie jumping around. I'm getting nervous. What's up, Chip? We're going to be winding down. We got the 2-minute warning, folks. Little Z, instead of just being outside for Little E, what else you got going on, buddy?
Well, we're just
Besides
plugging away
snow
here.
cleaning, you
Snow
know.
removal. We're going to be down in the Strip District for the next couple of weeks, doing some stuff for Click Vodka that I'm real excited about.
We invited any of that.
Got some writers.
What do you
made.
got clicking there?
We got all kinds of things going on, so you just got to stick with me. And we'll get
All
you
right,
there.
we'll tune in. Smoking Jim Frazier,
What kind of shirt the Rookie of the Year got on?
Penn State.
Penn State. Everybody wants to see.
And there's
Terry
a
Smith
rumor that you got him that shirt for the ride home.
for the ride home. Congratulations to Gateway, Terry Smith. Gateway's all in the paper. Look for Penn State to dominate again the recruiting between
Aaron Donald,
Pitt.
Tyrone Ezell. Make sure they're
All
on
right.
the draft board.
Enough of those guys on that end. Chip, what's our team got on here going at this end?
Right now, Pitt's playing Clemson tonight in ACC basketball. Got a tip-off at 8 o'clock. Two of the top teams in the ACC. See how the Pitt Panthers bounce back after that heartbreaking loss to Syracuse the other day. Syracuse is one of the two best teams in the country. I think Pitt played, showed up well for them. But
As you mentioned in the poll, they moved up on a loss.
they moved up on a
You can do
loss.
that,
But
though.
sometimes when you lose, you win.
When you're playing
So-
quality opponents.
So
you're
yeah,
playing good.
they're playing Clemson tonight. I'd say this should be a real good game. I'm
Go
gonna try to catch it.
Clemson.
Go watch it, and we're going to wrap this show up. Thanks for watching our show. Verizon 32 everywhere in the greater Pittsburgh area. Comcast 7 only in Bethel Park. YouTube worldwide. Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. We'll post this show up. We just posted last night's show up. Check it out. Give us a like. We'll like you back. And I want to thank John the Tiger Kiger. He's working on being Volunteer of the Year, but there's a lot of competition this year. We actually had Carl come in. I want to thank him in the control room, and Devin Shea and Aaron Ward for calling in. Thanks for watching the show.